Do you see it?
Oh, yeah, I see the script. Yeah. Yeah, it says this meeting's being recorded. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think I might have told Eugene that this wasn't a good time for you. So, Ralph, would you like to take over?
Is it just the three of us
Yes,
for Mehera-Meher?
yes.
Oh, so you mean you can't stay?
No, I
Okay.
just don't like to read.
Oh, you don't like to read. Okay. I can read a little. Let me find my my glasses real quick. I'll just
Okay.
be a moment here. I think. Yeah, they're in the other room. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. All right. Great. Good. Okie dokie. Wow.
You can begin at the last paragraph on 194. They
Okay.
stayed in for a day in the bungalow on the banks of the Ganges. Do you see?
That's not showing. It's not showing that paragraph.
I don't know.
The last sentence line showing is on 10 July, the 17th anniversary of his silence. Baba went with some of, and then that's the bottom
Yeah,
of what's visible.
it's above that, Ralph. It's above.
The group returned to Rishikesh. Is that it? Or there was a
No, they stayed for the day in a bungalow on the banks of the Ganges. Do you see it?
Oh, yes, I
Yeah.
do. That's actually on page 193 on here. Okay,
Yes.
I got it. They stayed for the day in a bungalow on the banks of the Ganges. In the evening, on the riverside, people were placing tiny lights on lotus leaves as an offering and floating them down the Ganges. Bobbing up and down on the waves, the leaves floated down the river at sunset, carrying here what bobbing up and down sunset, carrying the tiny oil burning lamps to fulfill someone's wish. There was a kirtan devotional singing program in the evening on the riverbank. We could watch from the terrace of the hotel or from our window and saw women carrying brass trays, taking lamps to burn at the temple. The group returned to Rishikesh later that night, where they stayed for another week. It rained heavily for a few days, and the Ganges flooded. It was still pouring rain when they were ready to leave on 30th of June. But after a while, the sun began shining, and they were able to
Cross the Laxman Jula Bridge.
well, it's just my eye lost its place. But
You want Eugene to take over?
well, it's not that I can't read, it's that I can't find this. You moved the thing and I can't find it again. Where is it? There was a kirtan, the group returned to Rishikesh.
They were able to cross the Laxman Jula Bridge.
See where the cursor is?
Oh, I got it. Yes. They
Yeah.
were able to. I see the blue highlight. Thank you, Tina. I'm sorry. I should have realized that meant something. And they were able to cross the Lakshman Jula Bridge on. Tina, don't move it until I get to the bottom of the page.
Okay.
It takes me too long to read. Highlight, if you have it, please highlight where we left off.
I'm trying to do that.
Oh, you're looking for it. Maybe I'll find it first. The group returners. Well, we'll just start. The Ganges flooded. It was still pouring rain when they were ready to leave on 30th June. But after a while, the sun began shining, and they were able to cross Lakshman Jula Bridge on foot and then travel by train to Dehradun. Some of the Mandali rode in a rented bus with the luggage. But because of the flooding, it took them 12 hours to travel the 28 miles to Dehradun.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. On the 10th July, the 17th anniversary of his silence, Baba went with some of the Mandali to a cottage at Kathgadam near the Himalayas, from where he trekked through the inhospitable rocky terrain, contacting musk in addition. Baba sat at the cottage nearly every day with a musk named
Uderman.
Uderman or Uderman Mustan. At one point, Baba remarked, "The purpose of my seclusion here is to gather the forces of good, to swing the balance of humanity's fate, and to sow the seed for a certain direction the war must take." Baba and the Mandali returned to Dehradun on 1st of August. That's certainly an interesting comment in the light of all the wars where we have. But I shouldn't have said that. Baba and the Mandali returned to Dehradun.
I clicked, I might have thrown you off
Well, I know I can.
by
We
closing
won't
out that.
worry. Well, it also enlarged it to where
Yeah.
I got to make it small again. Or just try to don't touch nothing if you can help.
Okay.
All right, Baba. On the 10th of July, at one point, Baba remarked, "The purpose of my seclusion here." Oh, we read that. Was to swing the balance of humanity's fate and to sow the seed of a certain direction the war must take. Wow. Baba and the Mandali returned to Dehradun on 1 August. Chanji and Adi Sr. were sent again to contact political leaders in Delhi and deliver Baba's messages. Gandhi Gandhi was now urging civil disobedience in the Quit India movement, and he, Nehru, and other political leaders were arrested in early August. Also in August 1942, President Roosevelt ordered the United States Army to undertake the atomic bomb program, and the Manhattan Project was begun. Now go ahead and roll it on up,
Yes.
Tina.
Okay. Can you see it?
I am, but I'm lost. And
On
okay,
4th
let me look.
August.
Okay. Also at Nehru in early August, Nehru and political leaders were arrested, quit India. Also in August of 42, President Roosevelt undertook the United States Army. Oh, I read that.
Yes.
Somehow I didn't recall reading that they were thrown in prison. On 4 August, Uderman Mastan was brought from the Himalayas and stayed with Baba at Dehradun for the next 3 weeks. 3 days later, the battle for Guadalcanal began, which again was characterized as breaking Japan's backbone. This time of the naval fleet. Having stayed in Dehradun for 8 months, on the 10th of September, Baba and the women went by train to Lonavala. About 30 women were now living in the ashram, including the later arrivals, Gulmai, Hilamai, Silla, Gulumasi, Gaimai, Manu, and Meru Jesawala. Anavaz, Nargish, Goher, and Shireen Mai also came to Lonavala and stayed for a few days. Baba and the women traveled in the same compartment. Lie down whenever you find space. Lie down wherever you find space, Baba told them. The benches were hard, but they tried to rest. They tried to rest with only one brief stop in Ahmednagar for lunch at the station, prepared by what for lunch at the station? Lunch prepared by Mai's sister, Shireen Damania, and Shireen's daughter, Meru Mehta. They arrived in London. That's the lunch was prepared. They arrived, Baba's group, I guess, arrived in Lonavala 2 days later. But before getting off the train at the Lonavala station, Irene went into a catatonic state again and had to be given an injection by Dr. Nilu. It happened all of a sudden. Irene remembered we were getting down there. We were getting down there. There was such a lot of luggage. The Deccan Queen, the train from Pune, only stopped at Lonavala for a few minutes. Perhaps Baba made me faint inside the train so that they could unload the baggage. Was that would she have been unloading the baggage otherwise?
I
Is she
don't know.
gotcha? Nilu told the station officials that I would have a heart attack
Her name is
if they moved me before half an hour. I had to remain in the train after the injection. It was Baba's trick to get all the luggage out of the train. Wherever Baba traveled with the women, the Mandali were always instructed to arrange for a house that was secluded, where the women would be free to move about. Baba never liked a congested area where people could hear in. During their 3-month stay in Lenova, the women occupied 2 different houses for the first 2 weeks. A Mr. Dastur's bungalow, known as Baba.
Karanja?
Somebody needs to mute. And also, I want someone else to read it. My vision is becoming blurred.
I can
Okay,
read now.
Eugene?
During Baba never liked a congested area where people could peer in. Me neither. During their 3 months stay in La Novla, the women occupied 2 different houses for the first 2 weeks. A Mr. Dastur's bungalow, known as Karanja bungalow or Quetta house, and then a bungalow named Prospect Lodge, owned by a Mrs. Dean. Karanja bungalow belonged to the Parsi Panchayat, that is council, which meant that only Parsis were supposed to stay there. Some of the rooms had beds, which the older members of the ashram used. But Mehera's room had none, and she slept on the floor. A day or 2 after their arrival, while the women were walking in the garden, a Zoroastrian priest started to open the gate. Since it was a large compound, the gate was some distance from the house, but Sunamasi had been posted there for just such an event, and she shouted, "No, no, don't come in." The gardener, too, warned him not to enter. Gaimai and her family, who were Parsis, went to speak with him and politely asked him to leave. The priest became curious. He demanded to know why he was not being permitted inside. "I'll come in the morning," he said indignantly. "I'll come back in the afternoon and I'll come again in the evening. Who are you to tell me not to? I'll come anytime, whenever I like." The argument the argument went on, but since he was alone against so many, he was prevented from entering. Baba was not pleased, and soon afterwards they moved to the second house, Prospect Lodge. Mrs. Dean, the Russian owner, was married to an Englishman. Her bungalow was an old-fashioned, spacious house with many large rooms and a well-kept garden. But here too they had problems. Baba was coming and going as they unpacked the first night, assigning each one her place. Mehera and Mani had a room to themselves with beds this time and a single cupboard. By bedtime, everyone was tired. Mehera was sleeping as usual under the mosquito net on her back, her left arm across her chest. Just as she was drifting off to sleep, she felt someone lift her hand. "Baba!" she shrieked and pulled her hand away. Then surprisingly, she turned over and went to sleep. I wasn't afraid at all, she explained, because I didn't expect anything and nothing else happened. By morning, she had completely forgotten about it. Later on, others had similar experiences. Mani's bed was shaken. Meru Jesawala had her plates pulled. I guess those are
Lots.
braids.
Yeah,
Gulamai was slapped. Gulamasi was slapped. Saltoon and Dowla were toppled from their beds. Someone told Baba about the strange things that had been happening in the night. Then Mera too remembered the first night when she had felt someone pull her hand and told Baba about it. You felt it? Baba asked. Yes, I was dropping off to sleep at 11 o'clock when it happened. It must have been a ghost, someone said. Yes, there is a ghost here, Baba confirmed, a soul without a body that is going around. He revealed that a washerman had committed suicide in the well in the compound. I will see to it, he assured them. Don't be afraid. It is a good ghost, not a bad one. And the sidebar says, someone's cheeks were pinched, and Guy Mai saw her small suitcase being opened and shut. Katie's mattress felt as if it were being lifted off the floor. She thought it was an earthquake or just her imagination. Korshed, too, was troubled. From that time on, said Mera, the ghost didn't give us any trouble. Perhaps Baba gave him another birth. Another day, a stray dog appeared in the women's bungalow. It was a setter, covered with sores, and Mera asked Baba whether they could treat it. Erich and Krishna were ordered to look after it, much to Erich's dismay. The only thing we minded, he observed, was when the women went out with Baba. They used to see a stray dog and feel so bad about it. Poor little doggy. Instead of giving it to them, Baba would bring it to us. In spite of our being occupied with so many other things, we had to care for that dog. Erich did not even want to touch the new dog, much less nurse it, but he applied buttermilk with a brush to alleviate its skin disease and gave it buttermilk and liver to eat. Soon the dog's coat was silky, reddish brown, and they named it Saifu. They brought Saifu back to Meherabad and gave him to Padre. Another dog had once appeared in their compound at Meherabad with a wound where the dog could not lick it. Margaret treated it, but Baba told her later not to do such things without his permission, as stray dogs might have rabies. Wash your hands thoroughly, he told her. About strays, Baba once commented, although they look so shabby, filthy, scrawny, and are starving now, in their next life they will be born in the West and be pampered and fed on cushions. That's nice.
yeah.
The men Mandali in Lanavla were staying at a separate bungalow, and on 5 October, Baba moved into a new bungalow called Glen View, 2 miles from Prospect Lodge, to go into seclusion. He began by fasting only on water for that day, and then on rice and dal twice a day. On 8 October, Muhammad was brought from Meherabad, and on 12 October, Uderman Mastan from Kothgodam. From this seclusion, Baba had circulars sent to his lovers, asking them to join him at Meherabad between 15 November and 15 December 1942 to, quote, share in his universal work, end quote. Also during this seclusion, Baba paid particular attention to developments in the war, asking each morning to see the newspaper as if to confirm the effect of his spiritual work. On 20 October, the two musks were sent to Meherabad, and Baba left on a 10-day musk tour of South India. 3 days later, Baba again contacted Chadi Baba, and on that day, a decisive battle was fought at El Alamein. And the sidebar says, after 4 years of issues, the Meher Baba Journal ceased publication in October 1942 because of wartime paper shortages and irregular mail delivery. The battle at El Alamein in North Egypt between German-Italian troops led by Field Marshal Rommel and British troops led by General Montgomery is considered a turning point in the North African campaign in World War II. By defeating Rommel, the British were able to prevent a German invasion of Egypt and maintain their control over the Suez Canal and the surrounding oil fields.
Do you remember where you were?
Yeah, scroll upwards a bit more. And more. And more.
I'm having trouble.
Okay. Almost there.
I don't know why I can't get this.
There's one line missing. Meanwhile, the women hardly saw Baba during this time. When he did come to their bungalow, they often played games such as Gilly Danda. That's where it is, with Baba cheating when he counted his score. After,
That was great. Thanks.
I'm following in the book. Yeah.
Oh, that was great. And could you continue on now? I must do leave early. I'm sorry. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. After
You
Baba,
will join us for Sister Act, Eugene?
Is that after this?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's at
I just
7
have to.
o'clock.
Oh, awesome. I just have to go out for half an hour. Thanks a lot. I'll be there. See yous.
Okay.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. After Baba returned from the musk trip, he moved into a new bungalow called Kismat Lodge, where he began calling only Mehera and Mani to see him. Previously, Shireen Mai had arrived in Lanavla to see Baba and spend a few days with the women. Mehera had a tender spot in her heart for Baba's mother, and the author once asked her whether she ever felt Shireen Mai was like her mother-in-law. Mehera replied, I did used to love her, and related the following incident. Shireen Mai had a bit of a cold in Lanavla. Others weren't around her that day, though there were many of us in Lenavla, including Gaimai and the Westerners. I saw that no one was with Shirinmai, so I came out of my room and went into Shirinmai's. Shirinmai was sitting up in bed. Somehow, I felt so much love for her. I took her hand and kissed it because this hand had tended Baba when he was a baby. The feeling of love for her just welled up inside me. She was so surprised that I kissed her hand, but it also made her happy. Shirinmai was very fond of Mehera too, since she realized that Mehera appreciated, respected, and loved her as the mother of the avatar of the age. Mani noted a similarity between them. My mother was like Mehera in that she appreciated beauty in any physical form, whether a flower, a house, a face, or a tree. Shirinmai missed having her daughter in Pune, and she asked Mani, "Won't you come home for just 3 or 4 days?" "I don't mind coming home, Memo," Mani said, "but you will have to ask Baba." Shirinmai's pride prevented her from asking, and instead she tried to persuade Mani to do it. "If Baba tells me to go, I will," Mani said, "but I can't ask him to go." The subject was dropped and Mani did not leave.
I'm trying to scroll down.
Yeah, I'm reading in the book, so. Everyone in the ashram was to have vegetarian fare. A few days before, Shirinmai, who was fond of fish, had ordered it against Baba's orders
Do it.
and told the Jesawallas to keep it secret. This put them in a bind, as Baba became angry with them for not obeying his orders. But on the other hand, he had instructed them to obey Shirinmai and do what she said. On one special occasion in Lanavla, however, Baba did allow Shirinmai and everyone else to have fish. At the engagement celebration of Arnavas and Nariman's Dada Chanji on 21st December, Mani especially remembered that meal. They sent a big basket of fried pomfrets, crisp on the outside, something we hadn't even smelled in years. Baba, as usual, was serving it himself. Each of us went by with our own enamel plate. We had to look after Baba. We had
I
to
can't do it.
look after. Baba would catch the pomfret by the tail and plunk it down on our plates. At home, I always loved meat and fish. I think it could be Mani talking. That day, we were so intent and so serious, each of us in our own corner, eating our fried pomfret. After so many years, I ate up everything. There was nothing on my plate afterwards to show there had been a fish. I ate it all, bones and eyes. I even licked the plate. Someone asked me, "Oh, didn't you get any?" But Irene lagged behind. She was in one of her moods and took some time to come. Baba frowned. "Where's Irene?" he demanded. "Why hasn't she come?" Finally, she came before him, flashing with anger. Baba told her to bring her plate at once. He scolded her, giving it to her left and right. Baba picked up the fish by the tail, and everyone stopped. We held our breath. We thought he might slap her across the face with it. At the last minute, plunk went the fish on her plate, and Baba told her to go and eat it. Irene needed to be dealt with firmly to bring her out of the mood, but only Baba could do it. After the scolding, she was back to normal. The next day was 22nd December, the day that the German drive towards Stalingrad failed. On that day, Baba and the group left Lanavla for Meherabad.
There's some nice pictures.
Yeah,
That's Irene, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, that's Irene.
And there'll be some more pictures.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm doing it slowly.
Yeah, they're nice pictures.
Irene and Baba.
Yeah, it's a beautiful picture.
Irene with Sunamasi and Baba.
Ashmi.
Ajmer, 1939. I don't know who these women are.
That on the left is Mira's mother, Dalit Mai. And of course, that's Shireen Mai on the right.
Yes,
Yeah.
thanks for recognizing them. Mara's mother, Dalit Mai, and Baba's mother, Shireen Mai. Upper Meherabad, February 1938. Golden hands. You want to continue?
Yeah.
Leslie?
As soon as Meher Baba and his group reached Meherabad, blustery winds began to blow, and there was a torrential downpour. This was most unusual, since it hardly ever rains in Meherabad in December. Mera caught a cold, and Baba was not happy. He had planned a meeting with a select group of his close followers for the 27th December 1942, and Mera's birthday, celebrated publicly for the first time ever, was to be the following day. Extensive preparations were being made, but the awning that Pendu erected for the meeting near the railway tracks was blown down on 24th December. Baba was furious. Maya is coming in my way, he declared. Now what should I do? People will be arriving in a matter of days. I will cancel the entire meeting. Since Baba had been in seclusion for much of the past 2 years, this would be the first opportunity in a long while for many of his lovers to be in his company. And Pendu pleaded, "No, Baba, don't cancel it. The pandal large canopy has collapsed, and you cannot erect another one within 2 days. Pendu said that he would try his best, but Baba was skeptical. Nonetheless, he indicated that Pendu could continue. Baba went out of the gate and gazed upwards. "Look at the sky," he said angrily. "The weather is so cloudy and windy. Mehera's birthday is in 4 days, and Mehera also is not well." Somehow, Pendu managed, and the meeting and Mehera's birthday took place as scheduled. At the time of Arnavas's engagement in the Lanavla, Baba had presented her with a sari that had been worn by Mehera. "I couldn't believe it," Arnavas said later.
I can't scroll down again.
Okay, I have the book. As Baba never gave anything of Mehera's to anybody, it was a significant gift, indicating that Baba was bringing Arnavas closer and gradually deepening her connection to Mehera. Arnavas had brought an expensive, elaborate sari for Mehera also. It was white with silver and gold threads, and she had provided the rest of the outfit as well: a blouse, petticoat, and even matching sandals. Baba was so pleased with it that he said Mehera should wear it on her birthday. Because Baba wished Mehera's birthday to be celebrated this year in an elaborate way, Arnavas brought expensive new saris for each of the other close women mandali. And there's a sidebar that says a necklace with the words Meher Baba hung on it was also presented to Mehera. Mehera's nieces, Meru and Nagu, had come to Lanavla and then Meherabad for their Christmas holidays. Meru, now 15, longed to stay with Baba permanently, but according to Khorshid, both Meru's grandmothers, Dalatmai and Gulmai, were against it. Khorshid, Meru's cousin, took Meru's side. She helped persuade the grandmothers, and Baba permitted Meru to remain in the ashram. Meru did not return to school and stayed with her beloved as a member of the women mandali. And there's a sidebar. Meru believes that Khorshid is mistaken in her account. Her grandmothers never objected to or interfered with her decision to join the women mandali. Meru said at her mother, Frainie's suggestion, however, Meru did complete a correspondence course with Kitty's help in the English subjects for her senior Cambridge examination. Meru's given name is Mehera, but in the ashram, Baba said she should be called Meru to avoid confusion between her and Mehera. Meru referred to her aunt as Mehera-Masi, but a few years later, in Meherazad, Baba told her to say only Mehera from the very first. Meru stated, although Mehera was my aunt, and I felt and gave her the respect we do in India for our elders, I never felt the age gap or thought of her as being older. She was so young at heart and in spirit. I always felt we were of the same generation. That comes from Mariana Messenger. That's when Meru took a trip to the United States. Upon arriving at Meherabad, Baba divided the permanent women mandali into small groups. One account says that the women were not divided until a few months later when they moved to Mahabaleshwar, or perhaps it was not done until after Mera's birthday. Again, members of one group were not allowed to communicate with members of another. If a message had to be passed, it was done through Kitty, except for Irene, who was unwell and was kept separate from the others. There were 5 groups this time with the following members. First group, Mera, Mani, Meru, Carmen Masi. Second group, Khorshid, Naja, Walu. Third group, Kitty, Rano, Margaret. Fourth group, Mansari, Katie, Soltun, Dola. Fifth group, Gaimai, Manu, Meru Jesawala, Sunamasi, Kakubai, Nargis Katwal. Baba was again working intensively with the must, especially Mohammed and Uderman Mustan, who occupied the old hospital quarters on the hill. Baba stayed at the Japti in Lower Meherabad, but he walked up the hill each day to work with the must. He also saw Mera and Mani and Meru and Carmen Masi, who were rooming with them in the East Room, along with Mitu, the parrot. But since he was still in partial seclusion, he did not wish to see the other women. This was especially difficult for Mansari, who confronted Baba and pleaded with him. But Baba was adamant. He told her that by obeying his orders, one day she would truly see him. After that, when the bell was rung to signal that Baba was coming up the hill, all of the women, except for Mera and Mani, had to remain in their rooms until the bell was rung again, signaling that Baba had left. With the world war still raging internationally, the quotes, quit India, end quotes, movement also became violent. Sarosh had scoffed at the danger when Japan seemed about to invade India, thinking Ahmednagar was too far from the front to be invaded or bombed. But Baba had warned him then, a bomb will be thrown in Ahmednagar and it will land in your compound.
Oh.
A year later, on Christmas night, 1942, when the Sarosh cinema was full of British soldiers, a fanatical nationalist threw a grenade inside. Sarosh was there, close to the blast, but he miraculously escaped injury. Others were not so fortunate. 12 soldiers died and others lost limbs. For the meeting on 27th December, Baba sat on a gadi under the awning that Pendu had successfully re-erected and addressed the 99 men that had been selected from among 550 or so of Baba's close followers. Only one woman represented the women's group, Margaret, whom Baba had said would do work for him in the West and should thus be present. The men were divided into two groups who would receive personal instructions from Baba, and a small group of those who were exempt. General instructions were given to the first two groups, who were each asked to sign as being willing to obey. Margaret signed on behalf of the women's group. Thus, at the end of 1942, while terrorists and conspirators plotted for political freedom, Baba made his own
Trouble
plans.
again.
Baba made his own plans for small, select groups of his spiritual workers to secretly wage war against the desires of the lower self in order to bring spiritual freedom to all. The next day, Mehera, who had been kept so secluded for the past 20 years, was honored publicly on her 36th birthday. The Arangawan villagers put on a 2-hour dancing exhibition in the morning, and afterwards there was a singing program exclusively for the women and the guests who had come from Ahmednagar, Pune, and Bombay. This was followed by lunch and a special ghazal program in the evening in the Pandal at Lower Meherabad, attended by the women Mandali. The featured singer was a woman whose performance Baba enjoyed immensely. "Don't encourage her," Shireen Mai told him at one point. "She'll go on all night." Everyone was dressed up, Arnavas recalled. It was a very festive mood. Before the festivities, Baba called Arnavas and asked her to help Mehera wear her new sari in a stylish manner. Wearing a fancy sari was something novel for Mehera after years of dressing in simple garb. Arnavas returned to her own room to dress quickly so that she would have time to assist Mehera. Naja asked why Baba had called her. When Arnavas relayed that she was to dress Mehera, Naja was surprised. To dress Mehera? Baba has never allowed anyone to touch Mehera. It was another indication that Baba was drawing Arnavas closer, and she continued, "This was the first time that I had seen Mehera wearing something nice. Otherwise, the Eastern women were always in plain cotton saris. Mehera looked so beautiful in that sari, like an angel, really. She was very beautiful. Not only her physical beauty, but there was an internal beauty that radiated from her. It was fantastic." On 7 January 1943, Baba sent the Jesawala family to live in Pune, where Bindra House had been rented for them. Baba availed of the excuse that Papa Jesawala liked Pune and wanted his family with him. Baba said that their separation would be for only 20 days before he called them back. The family was so convinced that they would rejoin Baba soon that they did not even unpack for a long time. Each time they saw Baba after that, he told them that their stay in Pune would only be for a few more days. But this went on for years. Except for Erich, The Jesawallas never rejoined the ashram. And the sidebar says Papa Jesawala later insisted that Erich even get married, which Erich did with Baba's permission 2.5 years later. Baba, however, did visit Bindra House often over the years and said that he felt at home there. The family, of course, sorely missed his company. Meru Jesawala could be very bold, and she once complained to Baba, "Now you don't have anyone in the ashram to bounce on, tease. You always started with us. Now you will be in trouble." Baba replied, "You are most fortunate because I only bounce on those who are near and dear." By keeping the family away from him, Baba increased their desire to be with him internally and their consequent detachment from the world. Another reason for moving the Jesawallas to Pune, which Baba confided to Gaimai, was that Shireen Mai was fond of her and had implored Baba to send Gaimai to Pune. Since Cheriarji and Dalamasi had died, and Mani was with Baba, Shireen Mai was lonely. After the Jesawallas moved to Pune, she often revisited them at Bindra House. Mira's niece Nagu also stayed at Bindra House with the Jesawallas, where she attended the convent school in Pune on Baba's orders. Since her sister Meru had joined the ashram and would not be returning to Nasik, Baba did not wish Nagu to return there either. The Kotwal children also attended school in Pune and continued to visit Meherabad on holidays. Their mother, Nargis, had been living with the women in the ashram, but she was not content there. She wanted to stay with her husband in the family quarters at Arangawan, and Baba permitted her to do so, saying, "You may live with him, but live for me," adding, "To him who suffers in my darbar court without complaint, I will give the greatest benefit." Later, he told Savak, "Nargis is gold, but she wastes it weeping without cause." On 25th January, Baba left with Mohammed and some of the men for another must trip to Aurangabad. But before he left, he directed 3 of the Mandali to deliver his instructions in sealed envelopes to the 99 men who had indicated that they would obey his orders. Baba returned to Meherabad after a week on Sunday, February 14th. Baba's 49th birthday celebrations were held in 6 different cities, and Baba sent a representative to each place to deliver his message. The task for spiritual workers. That same day, Baba moved everyone to Mahabaleshwar, where the women stayed in a bungalow called Valley View. Some of the women arrived in the blue bus, overhauled by Saroj after the raffle. Having given his spiritual workers instructions about overcoming separatist divisions, Baba now lifted the restriction about the women of one group not speaking to members of another group. In fact, he had a strange new order for them. Perhaps in relation to the war, he had them tell each other certain pronouncements. Margaret explained, Baba made us repeat to each other 3 times, this will happen, that will happen. Then the other,
I think we'll stop there.
should I just finish that little paragraph?
Yes.
Then the other one had to repeat it. I said it to Rano, Rano back to me, then I had to say it to Kitty. By the time those few weeks were finished, we hated each other. We actually hated the sight of the other one coming up.
Yes. Thank you for reading that.
Surprise.
I'm going to try to turn the sound off, the recording off.
The recording of it. Well, that was all about my year of birth, 1942. Funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot going on, all that war stuff.
I'm going to